Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome back to Helck, episode 17, which is slowly but surely nearing the end, nearing the finale of the season, at least. I am kinda left wondering if there is more seasons to be had. I do believe there is enough source material to have another like 24 episode long season, but hopefully there will also be the willingness to do that from Japanese audience and from whoever is responsible for making this show, and from the owner of the original rights, of course. Right, we are still in the flashback arc. We are still very much in the flashback arc. A little bit more than I would have liked, to be perfectly honest with you. The flashback is slowly wearing me out. I would rather we return to the current times, but oh well, what can you do? At least it seems like today's episode is going to be the last flashback episode. Hopefully, if I'm to be perfectly honest with you, I hope it will be the last one. In the previous episode, we learned the truth. We learned where the heroification, ascension, I think they call it, process comes from. We know that it's a spell cast by the king, and that one of the components of that spell is an existing natural born hero, like Kless. We also know that maybe not all of the goodness Helck and Kless received, but at least in part, the benefits they received from Rafaed, the fact that they were saved by Mikaros, were because they could be used as heroes. Could be used for the purpose of creating a heroification process. I have very little doubt that when Helck and Kless were taken in by Rafaed and Kless was checked up by Mikaros, I have very little doubt that if Mikaros said that, oh no, this boy is actually worthless, both of them are just, regular orphans, Rafael would have probably thrown them out. To be perfectly honest with you. That's exactly what I think would have happened. But it didn't. Kless, turns out, can be useful. Could be useful back then, and turns out that he is actually useful. Despite not really being back to his regular self, probably still knocked out, and probably still knocked out without any conscience, without any thought and whatnot. He is still being useful to create heroes, and he is also controlled by Mikaros, controlled by the king, probably controlled by the king. I'm not sure if his mind was broken, or is he still essentially in a coma and the king just controls his empty body. I wonder if there is still a way to save him somehow, to undo whatever the king did to him. That's also the question I have when it comes to the other people who fell victim to the heroification process, right? Who was it? Edil, we know, fell victim to it. Zelgion fell victim to it. Harol, we heard that the heroification process just empties them, gets rid of their personality, of their individuality, of their thoughts, and just turns them into essentially mindless automatons. So I wonder if their self is still somewhere within them, simply suppressed by the spell, and they can potentially be saved if perhaps the caster is killed, or is it irreversible? It's interesting because the grunts, the hero grunts, they are very much just empty shells. They look the same, they don't even speak, they don't have any, any higher functions. But we have Edil, Zelgion, Haraul, and the masked bird lady, who is probably Alicia. We have them talking and conversing and, acting like humans, and yet they don't question what's going on with them. So has their personality been rewritten? What exactly is going on there? I don't know. I'm not sure. Perhaps we will learn about it in the future. If not in the future of this show, if it's not something that they elaborate on within those 24 episodes, then perhaps in the future of the source material it's covered. I don't know. I'm not sure. Haven't read the source material, so can't say. And what else? And there was a bunch of standing around. Yeah. So the previous episode, the substance was cool. The substance was great. I love it. I love it from the world building standpoint. I love it from the theory crafting standpoint. Great. Thumbs up. 10 out of 10. But the presentation, man, no. I've seen a couple of manga panels that you guys sent me in the Discord. Actually, let me just shout out directly. What's your name? Of course, Discord has streamer mode. Ruji in my Discord server sent me a couple of panels of the manga, and they just look straight up better as far as pacing is concerned, right? For example, Mikaros talks, and during his monologue, he teleports behind Alicia and zaps her. And that makes sense. The scene, the way it was shown in the anime, Mikaros just teleported, grabbed Alicia, started monologuing. During that time, Alicia was doing absolutely nothing to free herself, and then he zapped her. It's really very, very, very different. Adaptation woes. I'm glad that it seems to actually be the case, that it's not the case of, bad storytelling and bad writing, but rather simply adaptation just didn't really work for those scenes. There certainly are scenes in manga that are very hard to adapt, and perhaps it was one such case. But yeah, as far as the presentation of the previous episode, I really didn't like it, because everybody was just standing around and talking and nobody was doing absolutely anything. I would have been fine if there was some actual explanation. For example, right, the king and all the senators and whatnot appear. Edil tries to jump up there and smack them with a sword, or Alicia shoots them with an arrow. Turns out they're just a mirage, they're just a magical projection, they cannot be reached. Okay, we don't bother with them, we don't even try to attack them, it's explained. Or a magical barrier, or whatever. But as it is, everyone was just standing and not really doing anything, not really trying to do anything. Didn't really feel well. It didn't really feel right. Hopefully today's episode is going to be better about it. Right, in the previous episode, Alicia showcased her Hero Slayer sword. She was able to slash Kless with it, which stopped him, his fading in and out of consciousness. He can now be rescued by Helck. Unfortunately, the sword was taken by Mikaros, and he stabbed Helck. So now Helck is in danger because he's a hero and was stabbed with a hero-slaying sword, so... right. But we know that he survives, we know that he's alive, so he got out of that sticky situation somehow. And everybody else will probably just be heroified. Helck will be left alone, and he will take a look at the pamphlet he got from Azadra, and he's gonna be like, oh, well, I guess that's my only chance. And he's gonna go to the demon country to get to become a demon king and lead the demons against humans, yada yada yada. That's my prediction. What's gonna happen in today's episode? So how about we just watch it? right? To do that, you will of course need your subs to follow along with me. I'm going to need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm also gonna have to ask you guys for your support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube, everything linked down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with all of that out of the way, we can start watching Helck episode 17 in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, awakening, not ascending. Yep, that's exactly the recap that I just recapped. That was a delayed reaction. Right, just a little word of warning. I know. I'm recording this episode not when I thought I'm gonna record it. I thought I might record it tomorrow early in the morning, so it's gonna be up for you tomorrow. Whatever. But I'm recording it today late at night because my family is coming over tomorrow and I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to record anything. I slept badly today. I'm tired because I had some stuff to do out in the city, so I might be a little groggy during this episode, but I'll try to keep my bearings. Had a coffee, probably shouldn't have it in the evening, but I had it. Cup of tea, I'll manage. It's preferable to not releasing the video, that's for sure. Traitors. I wonder if there's going to be some double meaning to that, because the immediate thought is, well, all of them are traitors to the state. But I wonder if maybe someone's gonna betray this group. Harol? Ah. Okay, so it didn't strike the vitals. Gotcha. Yep. Hmm. Could it be that Mikaros is also controlled by the king? Hmm. My master plan. So, is the king even in charge anymore? Or is king also Mikaros's puppet? Yep. Not even the hero slayer is enough. Actually, let me note it down. King is just Mikaros's puppet. I mean, share those motives. I would be willing to hear you out. Is Kles gonna stop it? No. Huh? Kles is going... Okay. So there is still some humanity within him. Or did he wake up from his sleep? And that's how the sword was broken. And that's how Mikaros lost his hands, apparently. You're already under my spell. Or just reacted on a brotherly instinct. Yeah, someone should have done that long ago. Thank you for doing the thing that I said should have been done in the previous episode. Now, sure, it had no effect, but, you know, it's the thought that counts, isn't it? Red slitted eyes. Very draconic. Those red eyes that were shown there in the background of Mikaros also seemed very draconic. So I wonder... Oh, letterbox. Is Kles going to stab himself, maybe? Certainly feels like that's what's gonna happen. Yep. I won't be a tool of the king. His last act of defiance. Shit. Well, that certainly explains Helck's hatred towards humanity. And that's how they paid him back. Yeah, the demons didn't do any of this. Exactly. It's the humans who did it. How do they have access to the heroification process then? If Kles was the, you know, catalyst to the spell. Oh, there's that dark aura. And a lot of wrinkles on his face. Rip and tear, Helck. Rip and tear. Okay. That's some very nice art. Spare none. They are bowing to the true hero. The fakes are bowing to the real one. I mean, I know they're not bowing, but, you know, they subject to it. Uh, this is just Bucky art style. I'm sorry, I know this is like a super serious moment, but that was just Bucky. Okay, but are you going to do anything, Helck, or are you just going to... Okay, he is. Almost. Yeah, it's absolutely isn't your fault, Alicia. Okay, so I am yet again left wondering what went wrong. They're alive. Kless isn't a threat. The awakened soldiers aren't really a threat either. Nobody can be awakened anymore because there's no Kless. Rip off the king's head. Slaughter every single senator. And end this farce. Mm. Okay, a flashback within a flashback. Sure. Yep, I do remember this moment. Oh no, it was different. Helck was offering them to beat him instead of... Right, right. It's different. I thought we were just seeing a one-to-one repeat of what we've already seen. Oh, so it's not a memory. It's like Helck's nightmare that he has while being unconscious. Right? Yep, you couldn't protect him. Exactly. I mean, yeah, like legit, you couldn't have done anything. Besides maybe acting more in episode 16 instead of standing around. But that's besides the point. Oh. So they somehow got out? Or were they defeated and taken in? And this is a dungeon. Certainly looks dungeony. Or it could be a secret cave that they have taken for a base of operations. And here's his sword. Yeah. What happened? What the fuck happened exactly? They escaped and became fugitives? And then one by one they were caught by the awakened soldiers and awakened themselves? He is getting away, actually. Yes, actually. Yep, traitors, title of the episode. Yes, as a matter of fact. So everybody sacrificed themselves for Helck, essentially? Right, they fought their way out to save him. Yeah. Yeah, those two guys have very disposable designs. If you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. It just amounted to nothing, yeah. Yeah, I actually wonder what could have been done to make it an actual good end. I mean, I do have a decent idea, just, more acting and less standing around, but I would assume that won't hold up in the face of the source material. And it's just something that was an issue of the adaptation. You could say that. Okay, so we're getting at least one more episode of a flashback. Shit. Okay, so that isn't the moment that actually breaks him yet. We're getting another episode of a flashback where he can't save his friends from execution. Right? Or rather, where he witnesses that his friends weren't actually executed, but rather they were awakened. So it's another failure, and that maybe breaks him. Or it doesn't, and we get another episode of a flashback. See, I really think this flashback, or the story of the flashback, would have a little bit more impact if it wasn't a flashback, you know? Because we know the outcome. We know the outcome. We know what's gonna happen, more or less, at least. So it kinda cheapens the experience, right? There's no tension of, oh, is Helck going to be able to save them? Is he not going to be able to save them? Because we know that he's not gonna be able to save them. Or maybe he will. Oh, wait. Is this an after credit scene, or is this a... Oh, I thought it's spoilers for the next episode, but no, it's an after credit scene. Okay. I paused because I thought it's spoilers for the next episode. He can't do one thing. Can't save his brother. Too early for that. Too early. Okay, now is the time for spoilers. Alright. Alright. Let's watch it again, shall we? Not particularly much that's worth discussing much happened, I don't think, but let's go through it anyway. Yeah, even a small injury was able to incapacitate him, so the Hero Slayer is strong, for sure. Thankfully, Kless woke up. And it seems like he actually killed Mikaros. It actually seems like Mikaros is dead. Not just disarmed, but like dead. Okay, my initial impression was that the king is Mikaros's puppet. Maybe the king is, I don't fucking know, Shalami. And Mikaros uses her as a puppet, controls her, controls Kless, but he essentially rules by proxy, except that proxy is also him in one way, shape, or form. But it seems no, it's not the case. Perhaps then it's the opposite. Mikaros was King's puppet. Mikaros was King's puppet. There's the matter of that black aura, right? That black aura was around Mikaros. It was around Kles when he was controlled. Isn't around Kles when he's broken out of the mind control, right? There's no black aura around him now. And that same aura was also around Helck. I wonder if that black aura is something like, I don't know, evil manifest kind of sort of deal, right? When your horde becomes so blackened that it just exudes that black aura of evil. Maybe strong negative emotions, something in that vein. Black aura is strong negative emotions / evil incarnate. Incarnate is not the correct word to use here, but, you know, evil manifested in the world. Those red eyes that stopped Mikaros. I wonder what those are. This cannot be King's magic at work, because why would he stop Mikaros? Unless he wanted to get rid of him and make it look like an accident. Plausible. I wonder if there is a third party at play. Yeah. I wonder if there is some sort of a third party at play here. I wonder if King's power is borrowed, in a way. Borrowed from some sort of an evil god, or borrowed from a dragon, or something like that. And this is this third party manifesting in the world. And then manifesting in Kless's eyes when they also grow red. Again, plausible. Third party involvement, evil god, dragon, some shit like that gave the king his powers. Something along those lines. This is something that should have been done in the previous episode. Legit. Like, to the king and to all of the senators. We also see, this really makes the previous episode this much worse, because we know that it was possible. Projectiles can go through. Alicia could have taken a bow with her, plop one senator, other senator, another, and lastly the king. Possible to do. Helck could have maybe jumped high enough to punch the king in the face and rip off his face. Right? We know that it was possible all along. Now, sure, true, it has no effect on the king, because the king probably isn't human either. I don't know what. Actually, that's a very good question. What is the king? Asking who is he is, I don't think, proper. I think the question is what? In the first opening, he opened his robes and a lot of bugs flew out of it. The king is an evil deity? maybe? Or a demon. Not a demon as in another race of sentient humanoids walking this land, but a demon from hell, from another plane of existence, kind of sort of deal. He's some sort of a supernatural being. King is some sort of a supernatural being. What are the possibilities? Evil, God, demon from hell, humanity's evil incarnate. Kind of like Slanesh from Warhammer 40k, right? Slanesh was manifested because the, who was it, Eldari? I think the Eldari were so fucking hedonistic that they just created a deity of hedonism. And perhaps the king is all of the evil of humanity made flesh. That would be probably the most plausible theory I have so far. And yeah, of course Kless would not kill his brother. Who do you take him for? He would rather take his own life. Exactly as happened. I really thought that this is the moment that actually breaks Helck. That now all hell breaks loose. They try to run away. Maybe Alicia tries to carry Helck away and then protects him with her life, and everybody gets awakened, and Helck is just left alone, broken, disillusioned with humanity, with only the pamphlet from Azedra with him. But no, apparently this still wasn't enough to break his spirit. It still wasn't enough to fully make him detest humanity. And he's actually asking very good questions, right? Where are the demons? Where are the demons? They aren't the enemy here. It's not the demon king who killed Kless. It's our own king. It's not the demons who are trying to enslave humanity. It's other humans who are trying to enslave humanity. It's not the demons who are performing weird experiments on humans. It's other humans who are doing that. It's not demons who believe they are superior to humans. It's other humans who believe they are superior to other humans. There is no external enemy here. Humanity is its worst enemy. Why don't you just kill them? This is, again, Helck just turned into a Bucky character here. That's the only way I can call it, I can name it. And here's the Black Aura. Here's the Black Aura, and it really leads me to believe that this is negative emotions or evil or anger or whatever you want to call it, just manifest. It's raw, evil magic. Or not necessarily evil, but rather that like raw, uncontrollable, wild magic of negative emotions that doesn't discern friend from foe, that doesn't discern harm from kill. Something in that vein, probably. There's no way he has enough strength to reach us. I really hoped I really hope that they will be proven wrong. Also, that art style change. This looks great. This looks amazing. I really thought that right now we're gonna see Helck just jump and this guy's head is gonna turn into red mist. I really thought it's gonna happen. I really hoped it's gonna happen. I really hoped Helck is gonna rip and tear. And here's those slanted eyes that were shown behind Mikaros. It's probably just the art style change. It's probably not connected, but my mind just can't help but connect the two because they look very similar. Is his mouth... No, I thought it's animated on once. It's not. The only family I have. Yeah, it just doesn't discern friend from foe. It just turns you into a mindless berserker. Which I... no, not really. I wanted to connect it to the Ascension magic, to the Ascension spell, right? That it turns those people into mindless automatons, but it doesn't turn them into mindless berserkers. So it doesn't really fit. To slaughter every last one of you fuckers. Why'd you have to stop him? It would have been so incredibly cathartic if you were to just not stop him. Like, I know it makes sense character-wise, right? Because it's Helck just not being himself. And if he were to actually slaughter everybody in the room, first of all, chances are he wouldn't be able to discern friend from foe. Second of all, I don't think he would feel good with blood on his hands. Even though those hands were... Even though this blood actually belonged to utter trash, I don't think he would feel good killing fellow humans, all things considered. And maybe not even that. I know. I think I know. It kind of comes down to that like very... fuck, how do I word it? You know how in anime, manga, light novels, whatever, it's very common for the main character to just let the villain go and not deal the final blow, but instead it's, oh, the hero didn't deal the final blow, it was a monster who ate the villain. Oh, the hero didn't deal the final blow, it was the villain who threw himself at the hero and the hero dodged and the villain fell down into the ravine and broke his neck, right? They're trying to do everything to actually not have the hero kill the villain or kill at all, right? Oh, do you really want to be like him? If you kill him, you will be no different than him, etc., etc., etc. It kind of stems from the unwillingness to dirty the hero, right? A hero should be heroic. A hero in Japanese media, mostly, should be the good one, the unequivocably, whatever that word is, the universally good character. He doesn't kill. He knocks people out, maybe, at most. It's the villains who kill. So if our hero actually kills a fellow human, well, that dirties them as a hero, and we wouldn't want that. It changes slowly. We are getting more and more anti-heroes. We're getting more and more like gray area heroes in Japanese media. But for the longest time, it was that like super big thing that a hero doesn't stoop to the level of the villain. There was that very clear division. That's why in Shield Hero anime, Raftalia doesn't kill the slave trader. The slave trader falls out of the window and gets stomped to death by a Tyrannosaurus. Meanwhile, in the manga, because manga is a little bit more free, because it's less mainstream than anime, she just stabs the motherfucker through the chest. And that's that. That's that kind of sanitization. And I wonder if this is not sanitization, but rather at the very base level, it was made with that in mind. Right? Our hero, Helck, can talk about killing people, can talk about destroying humanity, but he cannot actually actively kill other people. Masked whatever goons, that's whatever. Monsters, that's whatever. But fellow people, no, that's what villains do. And Helck is a hero. He's not a villain, so he is not allowed to do that. Yeah, sorry. So I think that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. And there is also that belief that getting over your rage, your primal urges and whatnot is noble, is praiseworthy, right? That if you give in to the urge to rip and tear everybody involved, then you're just an animal, you're just a villain. But if you get over it and are valorous, that's a true hero. So we can't have Helck rip and tear, which is a crying shame. Which is a crying shame, because he should have. So many issues would have been avoided if he just did. I have no doubt that in his enraged state, he would be able to just break the necks of every single awakened soldier here, every single senator, and would probably rip apart the clothes of the king and be swarmed by locusts or whatever. I'm not a fan. In general, I'm not a fan of the, oh, you're better than him, and oh, no, don't. I know you want to kill them all, but please do not do that. I know you're better than that. Not my vibes. I'd much rather Arifureta. That's why I really like Arifureta. I know that people rag on it, people say it's shit and whatnot, but it's so enjoyable, it's so fresh. To have the main character, Arifureta spoilers, hand up, hand down when spoilers are finished. Arifureta spoilers. Hajime and his classmates get to the other world, right? Classic, standard. After some time, by the end of season 1, one of the classmates turns out that he was evil, quote unquote, right? Working against Hajime, rising everybody against Hajime, etc., etc. He was the one responsible for Hajime's misfortune, yada, yada, yada. Hajime just takes out the gun, shoots the motherfucker in the head, doesn't even give him a chance to say anything for himself. Just execution on the spot. And I love it. More Hajimes, please. More Hajimes in Japanese media. I beg of you. Okay, Arifureta spoilers. End. Right. Here, I wonder if this actually is a parallel to the very beginning of the flashback. But instead of Helck laying down his arms and being all, oh, hit me, not him, he just jumps in, guns blazing, and punches the bullies. That's the change. I wonder. And yeah, everything is fine until it isn't. And of course, remembering all those promises, right? I'm going to protect you, I will always be here for you, etc., etc., etc. And he wasn't able to. Here's the Hero Slayer, his cape, couple of apples. A loaf of bread. Yeah, a loaf of bread. I was really curious what's going on here. Is it some sort of resistance movement, maybe? They all managed to escape and they just hold themselves up in this cave and are a resistance. In which case, it would mean we get, like, I don't fucking know, 10 more episodes of flashbacks. There isn't 10 more episodes to the anime, to the season, but fuck it, 10 more episodes of a flashback until the very end of the season, and 2 OVAs, why not? But no, it seems like they just dragged Helck here and then went to fight? I don't know. I don't know why wouldn't they just wait it out with Helck, you know? Wait until he's back to his full strength, or at least back to not being in a coma, until he's awake at least, and then go do whatever you want to do. I know what's happening here, and I'm essentially just as confused as Helck. They did whatever it took to make sure you escaped. And yeah, apparently they were all fighting. And I know, one of them just brought Helck into the cave and then ran away and continued to fight. I'm not sure. There had to be a chance for me to make a difference. Yeah, I wonder. My cat is dreaming of something and kicking her box in her sleep. I wonder... The only thing that I can come up with that could have realistically made a difference would be going with Kless. You know? Joining the military just like Kless has. And traveling with him. Perhaps then he wouldn't have returned bedridden, because we also have to remember that it wasn't the Demon King's doing. So perhaps if Helck was there, he would be able to stop whatever it was. That would be one chance I can see. Another one would be... But I guess this one's more from a like meta standpoint, right? Less standing around and more acting, more doing thing, actually trying to kill the king, kill Mikaros, kill the senators, kill the awakened soldiers, you know, stuff like that. That could have made a difference. But this is only from like a viewer's standpoint. In reality, the flow of time and whatnot in the show is different than real flow of time. In the manga itself, it was probably paneled differently, so there wasn't actually time to do anything, etc., etc., etc. It's just, you know, it's just my bitching. Any other realistic things that Helck could have done to prevent this whole thing from happening? Being more distrustful of Rafael? Maybe? Thanking him for saving his brother and going back to the streets? But he was a kid, he didn't know any better. So you can't really fault him for that either. No, I can't really see any ways to actually save the situation in any particularly meaningful way. There is also, of course, the factor that it had to happen for the story to exist. So even if there were other possibilities, then they will forever remain unexplored anyway. This whole mess is my fault. I really hoped at least those two will die. But no. Helck is, despite all, still a hero. And heroes are not allowed to kill. This is intriguing to me. This shot is very intriguing because Shalami is here. Right? And Shalami is not involved. We haven't seen her. She was by Kless's bed and then just... we heard nothing more of her. Is she being jailed by Rafed? Is she on house arrest? I don't know. Was she involved in all of that? Was she a tool to make Kless more likely to cooperate? I don't know. Is she mourning Kless's death? Did she even learn of it? Yeah, I wonder what Shalami's role is going to be, because I do believe that there is a role for her. Also, one more interesting thought. Kless is dead, then how can the king continue casting his spell? Unless Kless is not dead. We've seen it in the opening, right? Kless with all sorts of pipes going through his body, stripped of his skin and whatnot. Perhaps he's the fucking emperor on the golden throne, being barely kept alive for the purpose of being a catalyst. Actually, yeah. Semicolon hooked to machinery that barely keeps him alive so he can be a catalyst. Yep. That's plausible. That is entirely plausible. Now, this moment, the after credits scene, why did I pause here? Because I thought it's spoilers. My first thought is, oh, it's going to be fine actually. Helck is going to free Alicia and everybody else, and we will continue the flashbacks, and then something else is gonna go to shit. And it's just going to be an endless stream of flashbacks until eventually, finally, in episode 24, Helck loses faith in humanity and goes to the demon lands. Right? That's what I thought immediately here. But no, Helck doesn't have the brooch. He just ties his cape, so it's a flashback to earlier. Another flashback within a flashback. Yeah, he's humble, he's helpful, he's happy, he's joyous, joyful, he's never unhappy, perpetual smile. I love him. And then everybody dies. And the title of the next episode is Smile. Alicia is going to smile at Helck one last time. Or Helck is going to give Alicia one last smile, right? Alicia dying in his arms, saying, Helck, please smile. Helck smiles and Alicia dies. You know, something along those lines. Something along those lines. There we go. Okay. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. As usual, I was done watching this episode. I said, oh, there wasn't really that much to talk about here. an hour and 5 minutes of recording right now. I definitely liked this episode more than the previous one because things actually happened. Characters actually have taken some actions, right? It wasn't just standing around and talking. People were doing things. Cool, more people doing things, please. So I definitely liked it more. But the flashback fatigue is kind of real. I'm not gonna try to hide it. Flashback fatigue is real, and I find myself caring less and less and less about what's being shown in the flashbacks because I just want to go back to the contemporary stuff, to what we're doing right now. I want to come back to Vermilio. I want to come back to Pee-wee. I want to come back to Azedra, right? I want to come back to those people. But it seems like there is going to be at least one more episode of a flashback. Hopefully, episode 18 will be the last flashback episode. Hopefully. Hopefully. See, as I said already, the issue with flashbacks is that you don't really get engaged with them because you know the outcome. The flashbacks here really do serve to increase the immersion, really do serve well to provide additional world building, additional character building, backstories, etc., right? It really works well in that regard. But it completely eliminates tension from the show because we know how it's going to end, more or less. Now, sure, Kless's death did come as a surprise, kinda, sorta, but the fact that Helck will not, in the end, save Edil, Zelgion, and Alicia, that much is a given. So I'm not really, sitting there being like, oh, will Helck manage to save them? I hope he saves them, because I know that he's not gonna. So there's no expectation, there's no tension, none of that appears. On the other hand, if what is shown in the flashback was shown at the beginning, if this is what the show started with, the whole story would lose a hook, right? Because the biggest hook here was a human arrives to the demon realm and says that he wants to eradicate humanity. Now that's curious. Now I want to learn more about it. So if we started with the flashback story, it wouldn't have that bit. It would just be a well done, but ultimately, I don't want to say generic, but it would just be another fantasy story that's, well written, has good characters, good story, etc. But it doesn't really have much of a hook. It's normal, it's average. But because it started in medias res, there's the hook. It drives you. Now, I wonder how is this series going to be after this hook is lost? Because the hook, that particular hook, is absolutely lost. We no longer wonder what made Helck this way. Because we know. It's out in the open. We just saw it, or at least a large part of it. Perhaps there is more. So they will have to give us another hook. Another thing to drive the viewers, to drive me. Another thing that I can, theorize about and wonder. Another thing that's an unknown. Helck was that unknown so far. Unknown past, unknown what's sitting in his head, unknown goals, known goal, but unknown motivations. Enigma, and I wanted to solve it. Now he's mostly an open book, so the only mystery left is, who is the king? Kinda, sorta. yeah, who is the king and what are his goals, what are his motivations? That's pretty much the only mystery left, and it kind of hits different when the mystery is about the villain, because that's fairly common, right? We don't know why the villain is villainous. It happens often. And it's different when the mystery is about main character. It's very rare that you have a main character, a protagonist, whose motivations you just don't know. You know his goal, but you don't know what drives them. They're a closed book. And that dynamic of Helck being the main character, but Vermilio being the protagonist, really worked nicely. But now Helck is a known character, he's a known variable, so it's going to change. It's going to change. And I wonder what impact will it have on the story. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I said my piece. But maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic. Tell me, how did you like this episode, my reaction, my theories, all in the comments down below. No spoilers, please. Spoilers can go here on the Discord, also linked in the description below. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only Helck but also Freeren, Shield Hero, Magia Record, Saihateno Paladin, Shangri-La Frontier, and plenty of others coming at you in the future. I also stream sometimes, so click the bell to be notified of when I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, linked down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me on YouTube directly via memberships, super thanks, stuff like that. Through memberships, you also get a role on the Discord if you want it. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB without the net, the Survivor, Zayrene, Shoshu, Akamancer, Puzzle, David, Dr. Watt, Marshall, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without having to lie in a cave and recuperate.